Hello, my Kinder-1st leaders. Welcome. This week we are talking about creativity as we continue to this discussion on how God created us to be creative, and because of that, we can reflect all of this creativity and bring it back to God and put it at His presence. And so today's big bottom line is use your imagination to honor God, right? And so all of this is going back to the story of the tabernacle today and how people had to use their own creative gifts to build the tabernacle, and it was God who basically gave them those gifts in the first place. And so giving that honor back to God is really big in today's story, okay? And so this first activity, you're just gonna have some building supplies, and they're just gonna be able to build whatever they want to build. If you wanna give them some prompts on different categories of things to build, or, make it kind of fun like that, feel free to do that as well, as they're, just walking in and getting used to playing together and things like that. Then you have for your second activity, you have some pencils and some little notebooks, and it's kind of like playing a game where you tell them to write one thing, and that person writes one thing, or draws the one thing, but then that's the only person that knows what they were supposed to draw. Then they hand it off to the next person, and they're supposed to look at the first drawing and then recreate something very similar or the same thing but in their own drawing. And so it's kind of like a game of telephone mixed with drawing, and so it'll be a really fun game as they kind of dive into trying to figure out what it is and then recreating what it is, and then seeing once it gets to the end of the line or the row or however you want to do it, if they get it right. And so say it's a house on a balloon, right? A house with a balloon attached to it or something like that. Then the first kid draws the house and puts the little balloon on top. Then the next kid will look at that picture and then flip that page and then try to draw the same thing that it was originally. And so that'll be a really fun game as you kind of go through that. And basically what you want to do is just say, in our Bible story today, we hear one big way that we can use our imaginations in these ways, just like we had to use our imaginations for figuring out what that original drawing was, and then trying to use our imaginations again on actually redrawing that. Then we'll hear about the tabernacle and how God did all of those amazing things. Then we have for your next activity after the Bible story, you'll have a tabernacle diagram activity page. And basically what they're doing with all of this food and stuff too is recreating a creative tabernacle, okay? And so talk about what the tabernacle was, and as they're creating all of these things, the diagram is there for you too to really help get them kick-started on this project. And but it's all about this tabernacle being this very special place where God was supposed to dwell and be with His people, right? And so that's what it's all about. And then talk about the word honor quite a bit in this activity, if you would, and how we can honor God in everything that we do, just like the Israelites were trying to honor God by building this tabernacle for Him. And so emphasize that we are all created in God's image, and then we can all use our imaginations to honor God in those different ways as well. Now you have a people to serve cards for your activity number 2. And basically what you're doing is you're trying to shuffle these cards, place them in a stack face down in the center of the circle. So have all the kids be in a circle around this. And then introduce the idea that we can honor God and show how much we love Him by serving the other people around us. Then they can take one of the cards, read it out loud, which you may need to help if they're not quite ready for the reading yet. And then name one way that they could help or serve that person this week. So it's different people that are on the cards, and they're supposed to creatively think of ideas that they can serve the people that are on those cards, okay? And again, going back to using our imagination to honor God in that way. Now, then you have the memory verse activity after this. In the memory verse activity, you're going to go ahead and have it bookmarked in the Bible, have a volunteer open it to the Bible, that kind of thing. And then what you want to do is divide kids into 3 different groups. Assign each group to have one of the following sentences from the memory verse ready to say, okay? So the first one is we are God's creation. Then the second one is He created us to belong to Christ Jesus. Third one is now we can do good works, right? And you might want to write these out if you need to, just to help them reference it. Up to you if you want to do that just with some of the spare paper that's in the room. But go ahead and encourage them to like creatively think of a creative song, or maybe a melody that they can attach it to create a song or a rap or whatever it may be, right? To memorize this verse together, okay? And so that'll be interesting if the Kinder-1st can do it, but let's see if they can come up with it, right? And if you need to prompt them with things, you can prompt them with maybe some different words that they all know, or different songs that they may all know, like, you know, Mary Had a Little Lamb kind of melody, that kind of thing. Maybe they can put the words to that type of song. And then you have a prayer and dismiss, and so you have some cards from that Love God and Love Others activity. Gather them in a circle, and then go ahead and pass out one of those cards to each one of the children. Make sure that each kid knows what's, you know, on their card, and then lead the group in a prayer over honoring God through our creativity and actually putting this into practice this week. And so lead your kids in a prayer for that and just love on them through those moments. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. We love y'all, and we'll see you in a bit.